Nudes, Jamie McLennan, sir. We find you at your palatial Toronto estate. How are you?
I'm good. How's things going? I see you guys are LA Kings fans. Good for you.
What?
We're what?
We're impartial professional.
Doing some journalism here, Noodles.
I don't know what you're trying to get at.
Back said there might be something on your screen, like your feed was cutting out. Are you seeing things?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe not. Good for listen. I thought we were impartial on this show, but I guess not. There's a fan. I love it. I love it.
You know what? I was with our good buddy Robin Regier last night, and I wanted to support him. Stanley Cup champion. Right? What am I going to do?
Yeah, and I was always a big Glenn Murray guy. He'd always score 40 for me in my playoff or my hockey pools. Sneaky 40-goal Glenn Murray. So just total coincidence, I guess.
Favorite coach won a Stanley Cup there.
So, there you go. See, you didn't get the memo. You're not supporting him today.
I don't support any team. I just talk about them.
Neither do we. We just support our friends, Noodles.
My job is to talk about the teams, not to wave pom-poms or wave back scratchers. That's it.
Tell us about your team, the Ottawa Senators, who you know so well. Is that heartbreak? Well, obviously it's heartbreak. Have they deserved a win, or how do you feel about that series?
I think it's closer than a 3-0, but it's a great indicator for every fan base, for every team, to see how thin the margins are to win in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Okay. Prime example, regardless of how you arrived at overtime in game 2, Drake Batherson on the overtime, Max Domi's overtime winner. He makes offensively, he makes a November backhand saucer through the middle. Mm. And then the back check, it's January, hey, wave at the puck, but it wasn't a playoff play, and it ends up in the back of your net. That's the margin for error. After you battle back, yes, they didn't have a lot of shots in the third period. Their first shot they scored on, which was a nice redirect by Gaudette. But in the playoffs, you take what you're given, and you have to play patient, and you have to play smart. And the minute that you don't, something can bite you. And if you have game changers on either side, a person who needs one shot, they'll make you pay. So game 2, lesson learned. I thought last night was a coin flip game 2. I as well. I thought both goaltenders made good saves. I thought the top players from both sides had good looks, but it wasn't a high event kind of wide open game. It was an overtime game, and the difference in the overtime winner is you lose a draw in the defensive zone and you don't get in the lane to block a shot. Mm-hmm. And to me, Mike Kelly, I won't take credit for this, but Mike Kelly, my good analytics friend who works for Sportlogic, posted the analytics or the stats for the Leafs and the Senators as far as getting their shots through from the point. The Senators had way more attempts, but they weren't getting their shots through. And that's the difference, is you get your shot through and it's a seeing eye shot and you can go, geez, Linus Ullmark, you got to make a save there. He didn't see it. He still hasn't seen it. He saw it on the replay. But in the end, I didn't love his positioning on that. I didn't see a readjustment. So there was more glove to give there, but that's not his fault. And I thought it was, but the difference is you lose a draw. Austin Matthews had cleaned them out on draws all night long. And unsuspecting character just throws the puck towards the net. What he does, he hits the net and he gets a shot through. And the Ottawa Senators, their defensemen outscored the Toronto Maple Leafs defensemen quite handily this year. Mm-hmm. But it's been 4 goals from Leafs defensemen in this series that you could probably say might be the difference maker.
Is that one of those little things? Like I remember playing in playoff series where I actually specifically remember Stefan Yell blocking about 8 shots in the last minute against Detroit.
Yeah.
As good as Kipper is, it was like you block every shot. And with Ottawa, is that just part of the learning curve for him? Oh my God, this is in. You talked about Batherson. I don't think he's not trying, but it's not as detailed as it needs to be. That block shot, you're saying it's not Ullmark's, and I agree with you. If you're the first, if that draw's lost, it can't get through.
You just can't
get to the net.
And there's multiple layers there. It's not just the forward that's going out. It's defense that got affronted. You're right. It's other players in looking at their matchup. But quite honestly, it might have been the forward that was going out there that took a different approach to get there instead of cutting to the lane and then straight out. Like, it's just a small detail. But again, you're going to look at it in the video room today and go, God, I could have taken a half step here, body there. And the one thing that, teams that have a little bit more experience in the playoffs is they know, hey, like, everyone blocks shots. Everyone gets in the lane. It's a war out there. Every piece of ice is contested. And it's not like even game one, the score wasn't indicative really of the game. It was their special teams let them down. The Sens were 0 for 3. The Leafs were 3 for 6. Like, that's the difference. It was undisciplined penalties, which Ottawa let it unravel. And the Leafs power play, went to work. And I thought, I watched Travis Green's media last night. I watched it again today. He said, I'm not complaining. I'm not taking a shot. But, the Leafs, if you look at their last 2 games, their power play goals, they've been favorable bounces. One, Allmark hits a stick. It hits Jensen, slides into the net. Last night, that goes off Pinto's skate and slowly gets over the line. Yeah, Austin Matthews was there to probably would have helped it get there anyways. But, I don't think it was missed assignments. I don't think it was like Edmonton's penalty kill, where it's just like, I don't know what the hell they're doing there. Where at least Ottawa, you could see a semblance of like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to defend it. And you know what? A couple tough luck plays that end up in the back of their net.
Yeah, and look, there's bounces all over. We know that when games go to overtime, it's anything. If that puck catches a quarter inch of a pad on the way, it doesn't hit the net. Hope you're better. How would you square up the net mining? When you talk about, one team kind of looks poised, the other's first time under the lights, so to speak, for playoffs, but still Lars has been the better of the two by, I think, a pretty significant margin.
Yep, he has. I mean, I didn't love Brady Tkachuk's goal last night outside of that, but if you look at it, he's had quality starts. He's made the saves that he should. And, if anything, like game one, he got a post short side. He had a shaft of the stick where, Zetterlund has a wide open net, shoots, hits his shaft of the stick. So those are 2 favorable bounces that might have changed the complexion of that game. Game 2, I thought he was solid. Last night, Tim Stützle has a shot right from home plate area going downhill, and Stolarz takes a step out, and Stützle hits him kind of right in the chest. Like they've got to make him move. They've got to beat him high. They've got to, pick some spots. I think Stolarz has given them the type of goaltending that you want in the playoffs. Just, solid, not leaky, make the saves you should. He's had 3 quality starts. So yes, statistically and eye test, he's outplayed Allmark, but I wouldn't say Allmark has been poor in his last 2 starts. I think those were coin flip. I didn't love game 1. The difference in game 1 was Stolarz made the save on Brady Tkachuk on the breakaway. He made a couple big saves where on the other end, every chance that Toronto had was in the back of the net. So I thought Allmark was not good game 1. I thought he was good in game 2. And last night I thought he was really good. He just, unfortunately, you didn't come up with one save that was a screenshot.
So I sort of have this view of organizations in the NHL and life cycles. And, Ottawa is where Toronto was a while ago. Toronto used to be a team that had lots of good young players just trying to get in. Yeah. And Ottawa for years have been building this base of core players and pillars in which you can build a championship caliber team. But it's their first time in this tournament. And right. I think especially in game 1 that showed they were over exuberant. They weren't disciplined. Maybe the pressure hits them differently than Toronto. Yeah. So big picture, I love this for Ottawa. Like they'll come back hungry. Even if they get swept, they might even come back better next year. Right. They have that experience. They know what's different about playoff hockey than regular season. And I think we're also starting to see the Leafs kind of mature into that. Yeah, the Caps will never win. And then, you know what? Maybe the Caps will win. Like we talked about the word poise, and I understand there's coaching change and personnel tweaks here or there, but Core 4 hasn't let you down here. This looks like a team good enough to win.
Yeah, I agree. I still need to see a longer runway against a team that, I've had to stop some people short and say, okay, like Yeah, they're winning the cup this year. People saying that to me. I'm saying, well, there might be 2 teams in Florida that might have something to say about that. And there might be this Washington team that was at the top of the league the whole year. Like there's going to be markers. But to your point, I don't disagree. I think the core 4 has been excellent. I think they haven't cheated for offense when the game is tight. I think they've played more determined. Matthews and Marner killing penalties show that Chief trusts him in every scenario. If I look at it, the difference, you could argue that, yes, the core 4 has gotten mature and kind of knows or wants to play a certain way. But I would argue some of the moves that Tree made in the offseason, a lot of them are paying off. The goalie, Stolars, has been really good. Okay. The 3 defensemen, where you bring in Tanev, that settles down a pairing. You bring in Oliver Ekman-Larsson, settles things down. Who's he's their 3rd pairing guy, but he won a cup, in that 3rd pairing. And then you bring in Brandon Carlo, and another big defender, just stays at home. My biggest concern for the Leafs coming into the playoffs, and if they go deeper, which it looks like they're going to, does their D move the puck well enough? Can that D be contained in their own zone? Because when you look at Carlo, when he goes to pass, it's a flutter puck. And McCabe isn't, they're not all really efficient at moving the puck. Morgan Rielly's a skater, likes to play and jump up into the play. Everyone else is kind of like, hey, I'm a defenseman. Now, Benoit scored. That helps with his confidence. You look at guys like that. But I think that's where, if I was looking at Toronto's getting deeper, that's where I would focus on is making them play in their own zone and trying to force that D to handle the puck a little bit more, where maybe they're not as clean as other teams that have D that can really move the puck, like a Norris caliber D.
Sure.
Where Florida and Tampa are going to have that, right? That's the difference.
Are you impressed with Florida? I mean, hard not to be, going into Tampa and winning both.
Yes, I was impressed with Florida game 1. I thought Tampa was terrible. The goalie didn't make saves. Their top players were out to lunch. So, chalk it up. Last night, the one thing I noticed, I don't know if you guys watched the whole game or kind of had one eye on both type of thing, but Florida, every chance they got, they took a piece of Kucherov. And by the end, Kucherov was giving it to the ref, and rightfully so, because there were times where Kucherov was nowhere near the puck and Listerrainen would skate by and just cross-check him and give him an extra shot. And in Florida, they're mean. They play for keeps, right? Like that. Yeah. That's their DNA. And it's not just, hey, we got Brett in, you've got Bennett there and you've got Kachuk that do that. Like they've got everyone in that lineup kind of plays chippy in a certain way. And they've kind of got, you could argue they've got Tampa's number and they have had it for a long time, but it's just, they've found a formula how to play Tampa, and Tampa can't break through right now. And last night was a coin flip. It's a 1-0 game.
That goal. What's up with Vasi?
Yeah. That's the thing. Vasilevsky, I love him. I think he had an unbelievable season, which he did. But game 1, he wasn't great. And if we talk about margins, you can't allow a bad goal. You can't, because the guy at the other end didn't. That's the difference, right? So, and when you lay those teams, I always do that whiteboard, lay them side by side. They match, man. They're so close. They're so close.
5 years in a row they played each other. Winner of the series has gone to the Cup final each of those 5 years. It's wild. It could happen again very easily.
It's boring, and I don't want to get it too deep into it. The Hagel hit on Barkov.
Yeah, what do you think happens?
Well, I think he's getting suspended. There's a hearing, so I don't know if you saw. There's a hearing. I think he gets a game. He's got to get a game. That was a interference call, was it not?
Yeah.
Well, the question was, does Barkov touch the puck? And upon further review, it looks like he doesn't. But Hagel probably thinks he does. I don't know. There's just enough gray area there, because if he touches the puck, I think it's a clean hit.
Okay, but here's the thing: the puck. I in real time too. Do you do one potato, 2 potato type of thing? Is it like Barkov had? You should have awareness that people are there.
Yeah.
Barkov was like,
But I think he didn't because I think he didn't think he was going to get hit because he didn't touch the puck.
If he touches the puck, I think he shoulder
Hagel
checks.
thinks Barkov touches the puck and he drills him. And I think Barkov isn't ready for the puck or the hit because he doesn't touch the puck.
Yeah.
Regardless, it's just one of those things. I don't want to spend.
I'd be shocked if it was anything more than a game, but I think he gets a game just on the fact that it was an interference call. He's going to say, we just made the argument from both sides.
Right.
We just, because Hagel on the call is going to go, that guy touched the puck in my mind. I'm finishing my check.
Right.
And Barkov or whoever's representing him is going, this guy didn't touch the puck. What are we doing here? Yeah. So I think it's a one game. I'm more concerned, that didn't look good, but Barkov could wake up today and be fine, or he could be out a week. He could be out the series. Who knows? Like that's
huge.
That's concerning because he is the straw that stirs everything there. He legitimately is, because everything runs through him. He's a hell of a player. And if they miss him for any length of time, I still believe Tampa makes a series of this, but they gotta get their act together. They've got to find a formula or something where they're they're getting more distracted by the nonsense than playing, because Tampa's got a lot of skill too. But I watched it, and every whistle, it's like, hey, let's punch Braden Point in the face. Let's get after Kucherov. And those are their top players. Like Gensel's going through it for the first time, this Battle of Florida. Like he's feeling it too. So, but they have missed a lot of great, like if you look at the chances they had yesterday, they ran a melt. I don't know if you guys, you know what a melt is, right? Like
highlight pack.
Yeah, they ran a melt of like all the missed chances and how close, and Tampa's been all around it. They just, goalie Bob had a little bit of favorable bounces and some luck as well. But Bob's a great goalie. He's matching the guy at the other end or better.
Okay, late game tonight. Edmonton hosting LA. They're down 2-0, and it's maybe less than being down 2-0. It's just how out of sorts they've looked through the first two games in LA. At 5-on-5, the Kings have completely controlled this series, and if not for missing 3 empty nets, we're talking about 2 very lopsided losses here for the Oilers. Is it too far gone? How do they get this back on track if they can?
Well, optically, here's how I think they're going to start, is they're starting Pickard. Yeah. And I think optically what you're doing is going, hey, everyone wants to blame Skinner, and they probably I haven't loved his game. Like, let's be honest, I don't think anybody's loved his game. Mm-hmm. But you can't lay it all on him. Those are grade A chances they give up. But as we just talked about with Ullmark and Stolars, Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky, go through the guys who have come out on the winning side, the teams that have been on the winning side, their goaltenders giving them saves. I'll give you a prime example, LA, Edmonton. Clark scores on the power play. Nurse, he tries the slide. He tries the Rhett Warner slide, but it goes underneath him, and Clark scores on the power play late. Zach Hyman gets a grade A opportunity, and Kemper makes that left pad save, and then Hyman has the rebound into the open net, and Gavrikov bats it away. Like, that's the difference. Like, stuff like that, where it's like one end, you don't get the save and the play. The other end, you get the save and the play. And we just talked about margin of error. Terrible play by Nurse on the Byfield goal.
Yeah, big
like
time.
Draisaitl's taking the body, separating puck. Nurse does a drive-by and then goes, oh, it's behind me. Okay.
Game's still gone.
Shoot.
So then here's the other thing. So Byfield's got an angle to the net. Bouchard takes the pass away. I'm sorry, short side shelf, beautiful shot by Byfield. I need a save there. I'm sorry. I need a save, because I could understand if Byfield ended up going forehand around Skinner.
Yeah.
But Bouchard gave the lane to the goalie. You take that. I've got this pass. You need to trust your players. And as much as I've hated Bouchard's game, that's on, like, I'm sorry, you need a save. You need that save there. And terrible, Arvidsson makes it 3-2. Nice, beautiful redirect in front. And then he has the terrible turnover. Okay. I'm sorry. you need a save on Kempe there. That's 4-2. That's a dagger. That's curtains. And again, that's just it's a lot to ask of the goaltenders because those are egregious turnovers. But the teams that are having success, the teams goalies that are playing well, are making that big save at the right time. So the team goes, oh, we won't, these egregious errors. Not every mistake we make ends up in the back of the net. Yeah. And that's what's happening right now. Now, that's just one piece. Okay, one. I've got about a 7-pack if you want for this.
Yeah, fire away. As unbiased observers, we're fascinated by this series.
Well, the D, you've got a bunch of guys punching above their weight because you're asking Kulak, who's a 5, to play in the 4. You're asking Emberson, who's a 6, to play in the 5-4 spot. They miss Ekholm a ton, obviously. Okay, but you should be able to do it by committee. And to me, it starts with your $9 million defenseman who has not been good. I think Nurse had a pretty good season to start off with.
Yeah, it was
down the stretch. He was he
effective.
He tapered off, but I think he had a good season. He hasn't been very good for them. And to me, it's decision making. It's intensity. All of the things that have been lacking with this team. You can say, well, Nurse is a leader. He has to be a lot better. Evan Bouchard, I don't know his decision-making defensively, we know what he is. He was out to lunch in game 1, out to lunch in his own zone. I don't know what he was doing, passing pucks through the middle of the ice, puts it on Deneau's stick, knocking people over, his own players. But offensively, you look at the score sheet, you're like, oh, that guy had a couple assists. You're like, yeah, of course. Yeah. He touches the puck before McDavid goes and gets it. But so Bouchard and Nurse are their most important guys. Wallman, I like Wallman. I think Wallman's a solid defenseman, but this is his kind of first kick at the can. He was over aggressive in game 1. I think he's a decent player, but that D has to shrink things up and go, we're doing this by committee. We're not going to be high risk. We have to realize that every shift could be our last as far as how we have to play. And then the forwards, outside, let's move Draisaitl and McDavid to the side because you know what you're going to get from them. Zach Hyman, the pucks aren't going in for him like they did easily last year. So he has to work to score. He looks a little bit out of sorts and his confidence looks down. Okay. RNH is playing in second gear. I have no idea why his intensity hasn't come up, but he looks slow and deliberate. And when you're slow and deliberate out there, you play into LA's hands who can shrink. They do a 1-2-2 and a 1-3-1 depending on how they want to defend at times in the game. And to me, their forwards haven't been able to be effective. And then take your pick of whoever else. I think there's good players there. Kane looked rusty. I thought he was trying to be aggressive. He looked rusty. Frederick, same thing. Looked like he's playing on an ankle that's not 100%, but he's trying. To me, I've said this before, they've got about 7 or 8 things that have to come together for them to have success. And it looks like it's a work in progress. I just don't know if they'll get there fast enough because out of all the stuff that I've pointed out here with the Kings or with the Oilers, nobody's talking about how good the Kings are.
That's exactly.
Kings have been awesome.
The Kings are a damn good team.
Yeah, and if you were going to build a team to play against Edmonton, having watched them in the last 3 postseasons, you're like, okay, we need really, really great center depth down the middle. We need to have good goaltending, and it's got to be excellent team defense. It's kind of what they're doing, and the offense has been the real surprise to me because if you can go Deneau, Kopitar, Byfield, love your centers. Yeah. The D-core, they dress 7. Like a lot of those guys, aside from Doughty, it's not flashy, but they, like you alluded to, they play a structure and a system that allows Darcy Kemper to go 16 straight games with 2 or less to close the regular season. It's a well-designed team, understanding they're in Edmonton's division.
Now the biggest thing is this is where the coach has got to make his money. Now you get onto home ice, you got to find some matchups that you can find an extra shift here or there for McDavid and Draisaitl. I was surprised they had Perry that high. I like Corey Perry, but he's 40 years old. To me, I saw what they lined up at practice today. They had Perry on the 4th line and they had Hyman up there. You need Hyman to skate and to be aggressive and turn pucks over. And, I think tonight Edmonton has to just load up and play a top six. You know, Jan Marcus scored, but he had 2 goals all season, and none of them beat a goaltender. They were empty netters, and you know, so I look at what they're trying to do. You know, could Evander Kane find something? It's hard, man. He missed a year, but I do think there is a chance to get back into the series if they win tonight and get some confidence going. But a lot of it starts, as I just mentioned, like optically, we're gonna put Pickard in net. Now Pickard is an unmade bed in there. Like he's just he's aggressive and he's all over the map, but he goes down swinging. Where, you know, I guarantee you optically that game-winning goal, game 1, where you know Skinner's looking to the right and you know he sits there and after it's in the net, like, oh, where is it? Well, everyone, you know, it's in the net because you can hear the crowd cheering. Like, and then like to me, Skinner looks out of sorts, and it's easy to put him as a scapegoat, but he has not played well enough. They need somebody that can. The team needs to be a lot more detail oriented. But they need somebody that can give them a save when they need it, when there's a breakdown, and they haven't gotten it.
Okay, final one. Flames question for you. The Americans have announced their preliminary, you know, first 18 guys of their World Championship roster. It's going to be Joey Decord, Jeremy Swayman, 2 teams that missed the playoffs in net for the Americans, and the kid that was playing at Northern Michigan or Western Michigan, whoever won the NCAA Frozen Four, not a Dustin Wolf. Should he be going if it's only a 3? Is USA Hockey making a mistake by taking 2 guys that had much worse seasons than Dustin Wolf? Is there anything to see here?
Well, there's a lot to see because when I saw the list released, I assumed that Wolf's just said no.
Like which he might have done, but based on
I just assumed he was like, I've had a long year. I just need to let my body relax. This is not a popular opinion. I had a coach that used to call that tournament the tournament of losers. So he, you know, head off to the tournament of losers, you guys. Don't worry about the playoffs. That's what he would say. And listen, the World Championships, I think, are fantastic for guys to extend their seasons, to gain more experience, you know, to play in high stakes circumstances. But it's not for everybody. I would love to, if you're asking me, Dustin Wolf should have been 1 for their team.
Right.
Based on who had the types of seasons. Swayman didn't have a great season, but he has pedigree. So no problem. You could split it. Joey Decord, this is his first kick at the can of being a 1. And I'd say Wolf outperformed him. So like, I just assumed this is news to me, but like, I assumed that Wolf just said, I played a lot this year. I just need a break.
What do you think about that? Because I've thought about.
Let me just add a little nugget first, because I ran into a mutual acquaintance of yours, and maybe you can connect the dots here when I was out at lunch yesterday. But he had suggested that, look, Wolf, you could come, but you might be a 3. And it's like, okay, so you've got the Olympics next year. Swayman's a guy you took to 4 Nations. The Decord situation is an interesting one because he had not declared whether he was going to play for Canada or the USA, a free agent, so to speak, with dual passport. And if you get him to play in this tournament, you've won him over. I don't know if like some people would say go for the experience, but if you're Dustin Wolf and you believe in your heart of hearts you're better than those 2 guys, and you're like, oh yeah, Swayman looked really good behind a cup contender playing half the games and never more than 44 games. Look at my season. Like, I just wonder if he said, you know what? Let's don't let this affect my Olympic chances, but I'm not going to go open the gate or watch from the press box for 3 weeks.
You're right. Like, everyone's circumstances are different. Okay. Believe it or not, there was a time where I actually got offered to go as a 3, which is, you know, in another lifetime when I had some pretty good stats coming off of a really good season in St. Louis. And I turned it down, not because, and it wasn't even like, hey, it was an offer. It's like, would you be interested? So put it that way. Yeah. And I said, no, because I didn't want to, like, it's a month of your life.
I can't decide if I like the tournament or not. I understand you want to have pride and play for your country and in the Olympics, and you're trying to put yourself in a position where you're getting considered. I don't know if I agree with this tournament. Well, I think there's things to be gained, like you said, for younger kids to compete in against high end. And
Zane Parek's going perfect, right?
Yes.
But I don't know if it's the right move. And I said, who did we talk to the other day? Maybe it was just us. There's no way GMs want you going.
Some don't. Yeah.
I would say I have no problem if I'm a GM and I want like young guys to go.
Yeah.
Like, because if they finish their season in college or they finish their season in junior or even in the minors, or even your first year NHLer that played 12 minutes a night and played 60 games. Like, to me, that's where you want to continue your growth at higher levels for higher stakes. But I just disagree with, and I've heard this, again, I can't confirm or deny it, but I've heard this. It's like, well, Nick Suzuki didn't go to the Worlds last year. Team Canada was pissed at him, so they didn't choose him this year to go to the Four Nations face-off. And you're like, really? So when Nick Suzuki wanted to rest his body after 82 games, and that he may have been a guy that could have gone to the Four Nations this year, but, you didn't go for 3 weeks to the Czech Republic and drink your face off with the rest of the guys. Because a lot of those guys, I had a buddy who went there.
It's a lot of fun.
Played for Team USA, and he said they played so bad. At one point, they were almost close to being relegated because they lost to like some Belarus or something like that. And he said the GM had to come in and say, guys, like, can you get in before 5 a.m. in the morning? And we play at 1 p.m. every day, and they're bringing guys home in shopping carts and in luggage valets and stuff.
Right, you would have loved it.
Well, it would be fun, but
that's the thing that people forget. Like, these tournaments, guys either go by themselves or they bring their family, and it's like a vacation that they play hockey on too.
Yeah.
So it depends on who's going, where they are at their stage of their career, and that. But I look at it. Samuel Montembeault went last year and played very well for Canada, got on Canada's radar, and he ended up being the number 3 for Team Canada this year in the Four Nations face-off. And he's continued his play. He's become a number 1 for Montreal and played well. So there's as many as I'm like making fun and all of that. There's success stories where guys go and it helps their career. It helps them get to the next level, helps them grow as players. And the Dustin Wolf one, it blows my mind if they're just going to open the door. Well, no, like, you should be playing. Like,
for the job. Yeah.
I know I'm saying I would be a little surprised. It raises your eyebrows to USA Hockey if they didn't invite him. If they invited him and he's like, I don't need this right now. I just had my first pro season and I just want to rest and get ready for next year.
Well, what kind of invite? You invite me to watch these other two play? Like, are you going to give me a chance to actually win this job? Like, be honest with me. I don't want to spend a month over there if you're not going to.
And so we don't have those details, so it's hard to.
Yeah, it's hard to judge on the non-details, but I would argue that if they're saying we're bringing you in as a 3, then be like, I'm good. Not today, Butch. That's what I would say. So.
Noodles, enjoy the hockey. It's been a ton of fun. Lots of overtimes, lots of fun.
What else is going on?
Oh, well, yeah. Now that we're late, Noodles, how's your life? What's up?
It's been busy, man. It's a grind. Like, I think I told you guys.
Not traveling anymore. What are you talking about? You're off the Sens beat.
Every night I've been working, and then I think I told you the wife's car got stolen, so we're dealing with
still
replacing that. Got it back to yesterday, dropped it off today for the trade-in, and it just got like, I can't keep up. That's the problem. I can't keep up with all of the things that I've got to do.
Right.
That's the biggest challenge, but I'm fine with it. You know what? The best part is, like, non-biased, you can just sit back and watch hockey. And
popcorn, bowl of corn, and turn the tube on.
It's nice, listen, I do feel bad. Like, would I like to see Ottawa at 2-1 instead of 3-0? Yeah. But I'm happy for people in Toronto that are like, hey, this team looks a little different this year, feels different. Again, we'll see if they can continue to push through. They haven't had a lot of adversity down the stretch. They've been, knock on wood for them, showing people, they've been healthy. They haven't had anybody out of their lineup. Everyone's been good. They've gotten some favorable bounces, all of that. So when the adversity train comes for them, because it comes for everybody, that's where I'd like to see what will happen.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time as always. Generous with it. Enjoy the hockey, and maybe less is more. Take a page out of Rhett's book. He works 2 hours a day.
He does nothing. That's the thing. He does nothing.
And I still can't keep up. I still feel like you. Where
Yeah, stop
You
chasing.
know what?
your tail,
I'm going
dude.
to start
That's
my
more.
own company. I need like a Kramerica, and I need I need an assistant. And
AI.
maybe
You can
that's
do an AI agent. You can be very helpful for you.
That's Rhett's answer to everything, by the way. It's just AI. Thanks, Noodles.
all right, guys. Chat soon.
Oh. Crystal Waters, the guest hotline. Always good to hear from Noodles. Seems to think we have a rooting interest.
I don't know what the
It's
hell he's
unprofessional and honestly a little offended. He
Yeah,
knows our
it's
body of
not-
work.
It's not how we operate.
Our work's out there for everyone to judge. Feel like just some unbiased journalism is all we're here to provide. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.